She didn't scream. She didn't slam the door. She didn't even cry. One morning, after 24 years of being everything to everyone, but nothing to herself, she quietly packed her bag, left a handwritten note on the kitchen table, and disappeared. No warning, no goodbye, just gone. And the reason why, it will shake you, because sometimes the most dangerous woman is the one who finally decides to choose herself. There's something unspoken that haunts millions of women, the silent way to being the nice one. You know the type, the woman who never says no, the one who agrees to things even when her soul is screaming inside. She's a helper, the fixer, the one who stays up late baking cupcakes for a school event she didn't even sign up for, all because someone asked nicely. On the surface, she's adored, but behind closed doors, she is exhausted, emotionally drained, and quietly resentful. This isn't kindness. It's a prison built out of politeness. Take Sarah, a single mom working 2 jobs. Every time her boss asks her to stay late, she agrees, sacrificing precious time with her son. She doesn't want to be seen as difficult. And when her friends ask her for favors, she complies, even when she has nothing left to give. She's praised for being dependable, yet no one sees her collapsing into bed at midnight, crying quietly into her pillow. Sarah's story isn't rare. It's a mirror reflecting the lives of women everywhere who mistake pleasing others for purpose. But here's the twist. Being nice at the expense of your well-being is not noble, it's self-neglect. And the worst part? Society cheers it on. We teach girls to be sweet, accommodating, and soft-spoken, but we forget to teach them how to say, no, this isn't okay. The lesson here is simple, yet powerful. If you're always available to others, you'll become invisible to yourself. And no life, no matter how praised, is worth living if it means losing your identity in the process. Imagine wearing a mask every day, a smile that hides your frustration, a nod that conceals your disagreement, a yes that screams no inside your chest. That mask is called people-pleasing, and it's suffocating. Many women wear it so long they forget what their real face even looks like. But here's the terrifying part. When you live for approval, you die by rejection. Meet Angela. She was the go-to girl in her family. Need help moving? Call Angela. Need a babysitter last minute? Angela won't say no. But deep down, Angela's life wasn't hers anymore. She didn't know what she liked or wanted. Every decision was filtered through a single question. Will they still like me if I say no? Her relationships weren't built on love. They were built on fear. Fear of being left out, talked about, or rejected. That fear controlled her like a puppet master. The truth is, people-pleasing is a dangerous addiction. It offers quick hits of validation, but leaves you empty inside. The solution? Start disappointing the right people. Yes, you heard that right. You cannot please everyone, and trying to will only exhaust you. The ones who truly love you won't vanish when you show boundaries. And those who do, they were only there for what you gave, not who you are. Your job isn't to be agreeable, it's to be authentic, because authenticity attracts respect. Masks may win applause, but only your real self wins peace. Burnout doesn't always come from overworking a job. Sometimes it comes from overgiving in relationships, from being the emotional dumping ground for everyone around you, from saying yes so often that your own needs become an afterthought. It's the kind of exhaustion that sleep can't fix, the kind that slowly erodes your joy. Consider Maria. She was the emotional caretaker of her circle. Friends called her with their crises. Family relied on her to solve every issue. But when Maria needed someone, no one showed up. She began to feel invisible, like her only worth was in how much she could endure for others. Her breaking point came one night when she stood in her kitchen, dishes piled up, phone buzzing nonstop, and she whispered, "What about me?" That moment was her awakening. Because here's the truth. Boundaries aren't barriers. They're rescue missions. They save you from emotional depletion and restore your sense of self. Saying, "I can't talk right now," or "I'm not available to help today," doesn't make you selfish. It makes you whole. People will test your limits, but it's your responsibility to uphold them. Emotional burnout isn't weakness. It's a red flag from your soul, warning you that your giving has gone too far. If you don't guard your peace, no one else will. Guilt is a liar. It whispers, you're a bad friend for not helping, or you're ungrateful for putting yourself first. And women, conditioned from birth to be nurturers, fall into this trap too easily. But guilt is not always a compass for what's right. It's often a remnant of what we were taught to believe, that our worth is tied to how much we sacrifice. Let's talk about Denise. She finally gathered the courage to tell her sister, I can't watch your kids every weekend. And what did she get in return? A cold shoulder, family tension, whispers of she's changed. Denise cried. She felt selfish. But deep down, she knew something had to give. She was finally choosing rest, freedom, and her own life back. That guilt, it faded, and in its place grew something stronger, self-respect. Here's the uncomfortable truth. When you begin to set boundaries, people will get upset. Why? Because they benefited from your lack of them. But guilt is not a stop sign. It's a sign you're growing. The more you say no, without apology, the more you reclaim your power. You weren't born to live small to make others comfortable. You were born to live free. And sometimes that means being misunderstood. Be okay with not being liked for doing what's right for you. There comes a moment in every woman's life when she stands at the crossroads. Continue living on autopilot, serving everyone but herself, or finally, bravely, reclaim her time, energy, and voice. That moment is terrifying, but it's also where freedom begins. For Tasha, it came on a Tuesday. She was asked again to lead a project at work last minute. No raise, no recognition, just another burden added to her already full plate. She opened her mouth to say yes, like always, but this time something stopped her. A voice, quiet, firm, rose inside. If you keep betraying yourself for others, who's going to save you? That was her moment. She said no. And yes, her boss was surprised, maybe even disappointed. But she walked out of that meeting taller than ever before, because it wasn't just a no to extra work. It was a yes to herself. This moment, the moment you choose yourself, is sacred. It's not about being rude. It's about being real. It's about saying, I matter too. You don't owe anyone endless access to your energy. You don't have to justify your boundaries. And you certainly don't need permission to protect your peace. One decision, one brave word. That's how the shift begins. She sat quietly in the corner of the dinner table, her opinions burning on the tip of her tongue, but the old voice echoed louder in her head. Good women don't argue. Good women don't cause scenes. Maria, a 45-year-old nurse, had spent her whole life playing nice. From her childhood to her marriage, from church groups to PTA meetings, she was the one who never said no, never pushed back, never raised her voice. But do you know what all that good girl behavior got her? An empty heart, a used-up spirit, and years of swallowed resentment. You see, society doesn't always handcuff women with chains. Sometimes it uses guilt. You feel guilty for wanting time alone. You feel guilty for being assertive. You feel guilty for saying no. And the worst part? You're praised for it. She's so selfless. They say, not realizing that selflessness often means self-erasure. But guilt is a liar. Guilt whispers that your needs are a burden, that your voice is too loud, that your anger is too ugly. But the truth? Guilt is a control tactic. And once Maria realized that, everything changed. One evening, when her husband criticized her in front of guests for the millionth time, she didn't swallow the shame. She stood up, calmly, firmly, and said, "Don't talk to me like that again." The room fell silent. Her voice, though shaking, was free. That moment, it didn't just shake the room. It shook her life. Because when a woman finally stops apologizing for existing, the world either adjusts or she walks away. Let's talk about loyalty, the kind that women are praised for. She's loyal to a fault, they say. But let's pause on that last part. To a fault, what does that even mean? It means staying when you should have left. It means loving someone more than they ever loved you. It means defending people who never defended you back. Stacy was married for 18 years. She sacrificed her dreams, her body, her career, everything for her family. She thought loyalty meant enduring emotional abandonment because he's a good provider. She thought staying meant strength. But what no one told her is that loyalty without reciprocity is self-betrayal. We're told that real love is unconditional. But love isn't supposed to hurt more than it heals. It's not supposed to drain you until you become a shell of yourself. Loyalty isn't about how long you stay. It's about how well you're treated while you're there. Stacy woke up one morning and looked at herself in the mirror. Her eyes were tired. Her soul was exhausted. And she asked a hard question. If I met me right now, would I even like me? That was the moment she realized. She didn't need to earn love through suffering. She packed her bags, left the house, started over at 42. And do you know what she discovered? Peace. Peace in being alone. Peace in her own company. Peace in no longer needing permission to breathe. She was never disloyal to her marriage, but staying would have been disloyal to herself. They call her Superwoman. She juggles kids, a full-time job, her aging parents, and a side hustle. Everyone relies on her. No one checks on her. Her name is Carla. She's 38 and already feels 70. Her back aches. Her smile is stretched. Her soul running on fumes. Carla is the woman you call in a crisis. The one who remembers birthdays, buys gifts, plans parties, and shows up every time. But she cries alone in the bathroom. She cancels her own doctor appointments to drive others to theirs. She hasn't slept through the night in years. Why? Because she was taught that her worth is in how much she gives. That burnout is a badge of honor. That rest is laziness. But Carla hit a wall. One day, she forgot to pick up her daughter from school. Her brain, fried from the mental load, just shut down, and the guilt crushed her. But that moment, it was her wake-up call. She saw a therapist. She set boundaries. She started saying, I can't. And the world didn't end. In fact, she found that the people who truly love her didn't mind. The ones who got angry, they were just addicted to her self-neglect. Carla now teaches other women, you are not a robot. You are not a machine. You are not infinite. You are a human being. And your needs matter too. Because if the only time you rest is when you break down, then you've waited too long. Have you ever been told you're too much? Too loud, too emotional, too confident, too ambitious. That's how it starts. Women are conditioned to shrink, to be smaller, quieter, gentler, so they don't offend fragile egos. But here's the truth. Your too much is exactly what makes you unforgettable. Nina was a force of nature. Brilliant, bold, passionate. But every man she dated told her to tone it down. Her bosses called her intimidating. Her family said, don't scare off the man. So she dimmed. She silenced her fire to be more likable. And in the process, she lost herself. Until one day, she walked into a meeting and someone else, less qualified, less prepared, got the credit for her idea. That was the moment she snapped. Not in rage, in realization. She'd made herself small for a world that never made room for her anyway. From that day forward, she stopped apologizing. She took up space. She launched her business. She spoke on stages. She scared some people, but she inspired many more. Because when one woman dares to be fully herself, she becomes a mirror for others to do the same. Your too much isn't a flaw. It's your superpower. Own it, and let the right people rise to meet your energy. Every woman has a moment, a breaking point, a final straw, a day when the pain of staying becomes louder than the fear of leaving. For some, it happens after years. For others, after decades. But it always comes. Denise was 60 when she left her marriage. 60. People said, why now? You're too old to start over. But Denise knew she wasn't too old. She was finally too awake. For years, she endured emotional neglect. She made excuses. It's just a phase. It could be worse. At least he doesn't hit me. But quiet suffering is still suffering. One morning, she watched a bird outside her window. It chirped, flew free, and something inside her cracked wide open. She packed a suitcase, left a note, and walked out. No drama. No yelling. Just a decision. I deserve better. Starting over wasn't easy. She cried. She doubted. But she also danced. She laughed. She painted again. She made new friends. She finally felt alive. And here's the powerful truth. The life you want doesn't begin the day you find the right person. It begins the day you choose yourself. Denise now says, "My life didn't end at 60. It started." And she's right. Because the woman who walks away isn't broken. She's reborn.